He is an amazing father. He is an amazing husband. He is a successful businessman. He is all of those things. But this is manipulation and gaslighting at its peak. Like, this is what she does, is we manipulate our fans, our stories, the way we say things. Like, this is the basis of the lies.
Your second season on the show, how did you feel starting to film again? Were you prepared? Were you anxious? Was it better going in blind, or was it better to know what you're in for?
I would say that it was easier to navigate like my sophomore season. I think that being a first-year housewife is hard for more like on the personal end. You have to try to figure out how to balance everything, and that can be really challenging, especially when my youngest was only like 3 months or something like that. She was an infant.
Yeah, crazy.
So that was the harder part, like my first year. This year, it was like more about childcare and like what am I going to wear and how am I going to have my husband's back. Like that was more the focus this year.
The practicalities.
Yes.
Did you know going into the season that right off the bat it was going to be, I know you guys left the reunion kind of with some questions and with some tension, but did you know it was going to turn into this like Teresa versus the Fudas right off the bat?
So my only implication of that was that like literally the day before Jen Fessler's surprise party, there were like all of these like things leaking all over like the other side social media accounts. We know the game. Like we know. So like going into it, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So that was really my heads up.
And were you like, I'm ready, or were you like, I'm terrified?
Oh, I'm not scared.
Amazing.
I'm not scared.
I love that. Speaking of that, Jen Fessler's surprise party, it kind of surprised me that Pauly decided to kind of take on like the role of, since Louis wasn't there, and like had a major issue with the suggestion that like John and Louis should talk at this party. So one, did it surprise you that Pauly kind of came on so strong, but then at the same time, the fact that they were so upset about whether this was like the right place to have this conversation?
Okay, so Pauly is, from my understanding, pretty close with Louis. So I think that he walked in there like trying to defend his friend, and like maybe they had their own conversation of like, you know, have my back, this and that. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions. Like the only time that you'll ever see me like literally disengage is when my kids are present.
Right.
Like that's my no.
Which feels like
hard
a good
no.
line.
Right. So that I don't understand. And what's even more bizarre is that John had said to Louis, like, we will talk at Jen's party. Like, I'll see you whenever it was, tomorrow, let's just say. And then just didn't show up.
Right.
Didn't give a heads up like, hey, bro, I won't be there tomorrow. And also, like, waited until, like, we were back up to even send a text message to talk.
Right.
So you've waited 6 to 8 months to have this important conversation.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. Where do you think the root of Teresa's issues stem with John or with you? Or, like, what is it, in your opinion?
I think that she's been on this show for so long, and it just solidifies her relevancy and her paycheck.
Okay.
You're welcome.
You think she just picked someone? She was like, I'm going for you guys.
Well, listen, who else does she have, right? Like, Melissa's off. Margaret's off. She's not going to fight with Dolores. Jen's so far up her butt, she can't even see her eyeballs. And then who else do we have? I mean, Jen Fessler is not going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was the last resort.
Yeah.
So
Danielle is interesting. I feel like she's kind of like, at least so far in the first 2 episodes, almost in the middle and kind of friendly with everyone. I don't know if that's going to last, but...
Well, to be continued.
Okay. She then, obviously, Teresa makes the allegation that John was a drug dealer or whatever the heck she says. Did that surprise you that was like the thing she threw out there?
No, and it's like, it's such a joke because John, we've all made mistakes as kids, right? And if I were to pull anyone from anyone's past, like we've all done things that, you know, someone would say are bad or try to weaponize. John is not ashamed of anything that he has done or has been through. It's just unfortunate that opportunity for him to tell and share his own story was completely taken from him and manipulated into something that it's not and weaponized against him.
Right. And it was something that happened when he was 17.
He's going to be 37 this year.
Right.
Okay, like, we're going to be celebrating his 40th birthday soon. Like, are we serious?
And I usually pay pretty close attention watching these shows. I consider myself a pretty decent television viewer. And I was very confused on, and maybe you can give me some clarity, on the ex that was involved, John's ex, at one point, I feel like the narrative was Teresa and Louis didn't talk to the ex, but then she said she heard this from the ex. So what happened here?
I have so many questions. I really do. And I've only met her once or twice. And I don't really have anything else to say about her.
Yeah. Do you think she has spoken to people that you know on The Real Housewives of New Jersey?
100%.
What
I would rather say vice versa. If that makes sense.
Okay. You think maybe she actively
I think that either my castmates or people that affiliate or associate with my castmates had their hands in that.
Got it. What was it like talking to Jaden about this? Did you have to like tell him this was going to happen and someone saying things that aren't true about your dad and your mom or your birth mother?
So Jaden is 17 years old. So he is almost a legal adult, which is absolutely petrifying. The most scariest part of this entire conversation.
Yeah.
But he is so mature and understands. We have very open conversations. And we were just honest with him. Like, we had a very honest conversation about what John's been through and all of that. And it was more about that. And then it was, unfortunately, about all the things about his birth mother that we had to talk about.
Right.
So he has his own feelings about it. He's formed his own opinion based on what he has unfortunately seen on social media.
Right.
And that's that. I mean, at the end of the day, like, he is going to decide who he wants in his life. He's almost an adult. And that's it.
What was it like watching last season to get to see like the adoption journey and all of that? And it was just like so cool.
It was really nice. Yeah. It was. And to see in his eyes and his face, like how happy he was, it was such a sweet moment and it was so genuine.
Yeah.
And I just feel really grateful to call him my son.
Yeah. And your younger kids, your little babies, how old are they, first of all?
So Gigi is going to be 4 in July. Which, oh my God, I'm so sad. And then my little Juliana is 2.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what is their like dynamic with 17-year-old big brother?
It is so funny. So we generally have dinner together like 2 to 3 times a week. I really try. So Jaden will like go to the gym after school. He'll come home and then Gigi we'll hear the alarm chime, and Gigi sits at the table with her eyes closed. And Jaden walks in and he's like, has anybody seen Gigi? I haven't seen her. And then she'll be like, come here. Like, they get so excited to see their brother. But like, Juliana, Jaden is the apple of her eye. She is obsessed with Jaden. He has a girlfriend. And all we hear all day is her name. I'm not going to say it because it will probably kill me. But, so my girls are both, they adore Jaden so much. And it's really sweet to see him be a big brother to like little girls. It's really nice.
Does he get protective of you at all, you think, with this show and the craziness?
I don't think so. I think it's like, WTF are you doing?
What do you guys do when I'm not around?
Yeah. It's like, he is supportive in the best way that a 17-year-old boy can be.
It'd probably be weird if he cared too much about what was happening.
It's like he's in his own world.
Yeah, as he should
It's like, how am I getting money to put gas in my car? Like, that's his concern, you know?
Very fair. Circling back to the first 2 episodes, because a lot did happen between you and John and Teresa and everything going on. John calling Teresa has gotten a lot of play. Did you agree with that take?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, like, has been, never was. Like, I don't know. What am I supposed to say about that?
There's been so much talk about this, like, pre-reunion meeting.
Oh, my God.
From your point of view, what was the point of the meeting? Does the meeting matter? Why is it becoming such a thing?
It's becoming a thing because that's the narrative. That's the narrative. That's what we want to be important. So that's what we're going to push, right? So it's really not all that it's chalked up to be. Like, we left off at the reunion where there was a private investigator that was hired to investigate us. What do you think we're going to do? Like the start. So the last episode from season 13 was like all of that investigator, right? All that stuff mentioned twice.
Yeah.
So we are not going to go into war with no weapons.
Fair.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it would be weird if we were sitting here having a conversation of like, so you didn't meet up before the reunion. Like, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to tell me that there were no conversations on the other side of the couch? Are you
Right.
serious? Like, who's believing that?
I would imagine over just in Housewives history, it was a phone call or whatever. There's always probably been something.
And
Yeah.
of course it was all together because, yeah, when there's private investigators, now we're talking like legalities. Yeah, we're going to have a meeting and we're going to order sushi.
There was sushi at the meeting. That's an important detail that I didn't know.
Yes.
Do you think there's any moving past this private investigator and this or that? Because it seems like they're never going to admit it. You guys are very confident in the evidence that you have, whether it's about Margaret's son or John's ex. Like, is there any resolution that can be made?
You know, I don't even know if it's resolution at this point. I just don't think I'm willing to accept people like that in my life and have them in my home and associate with those kinds of people. It's just something I'm not interested in.
Okay. Jen Fessler is a very interesting player in all of this because we do see in the second episode she talks to Teresa about it. And you say in a confessional something along the lines of like, you feel maybe a little betrayed or you're not so sure. What is your relationship like with Jen and what was that sort of comment kind of alluding to?
So I don't have a relationship with her right now. We haven't spoken in probably over 5 months now.
Wow.
And we don't, right now, there's no bad blood between us, but I can just say that my relationship with her is so disappointing, like what has transpired, what's taken place. And it's really sad to see someone that was brought into this group of women by Margaret to not like back up their friends when they're asked, like, do you believe that Louis called Margaret's son? And like you say, she swore on her 4 kids. Like, she's a pathological liar. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you think Margaret is faking that?
Right.
She was in hysteria that day. She called me. I spoke to her. So in saying that, my real issue is, and this is not even just for Jen Fessler, it's across the board. We can be friends. You can be friends with anybody.
Yeah.
But don't sit here and tell me what you think I want to hear and then go be friends with somebody. That's not how this works. If you like her, tell me. Grow a pair and tell me, I like her, I want to be friends with her. And then we're good.
Right.
But if you're not going to do that and you're going to sit here and be like, I don't want to be in the same room as them, I don't want to associate, I don't want to be part of this group of women if that's going to happen. And then you go, what?
Yeah. No. You just want some transparency, some honesty.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't think I'm asking for a whole lot.
No. Because you're all filming the show together, so it's no one can't be like, oh, you can't go talk to them, you can't do this, but don't play both sides.
But like, I could say that if I felt that way.
Yeah.
But like, the truth of the matter is it's more just about like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's not connecting.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting in that conversation that Teresa does say, John seems like an amazing father and this or that. And it was like, okay, so why? I mean, it was just interesting to me that she decided to even say that. And she's like, well, now, so why even bring up an untruth about something from so long ago?
Well, and he is all of those things. He is an amazing father. He is an amazing husband. He is a successful businessman. He is all of those things. But this is manipulation and gaslighting at its peak. Like, this is what she does, is we manipulate our fans, our stories, the way we say things. Like, this is the basis of the lies.
Yeah. What is I mentioned Danielle a little bit ago. I feel like it's going to kind of be maybe a thread in the season, but you can tell me, what is your relationship like with her? What was it, your expectations maybe in this season of where you guys stood? Did it change? Like, I feel like that's an interesting dynamic because you started the show together, maybe weren't like the closest, but you started this season on a good note.
So Danielle and I are in a really good place. You know, we were just messaging. She's in France right now. I just got back, so she's getting 80-degree weather. I got 50, but it's fine. Her and I are in a much better place, and it was such like a relief to me because that was actually more stressful to me than like anything, like any of my other relationship dynamics like this season, because I know that her and I, as much as we are different, we are alike, and we have younger kids, and we're both like really dedicated moms. We have great marriages. Like, we have a lot of similarities and common ground. So it was very refreshing to meet someone new that I had so much in common with. And it was unfortunate like that things went down the way that they did. But this season is nice. And you'll see us like connect a little bit more and like you'll see us together with our kids. And it's just really nice. It's nice to see us together.
Oh, I like that.
I feel like we're very Jersey. Like,
yeah,
the two
are.
of us. Like,
you are very Jersey in the best way. Your tagline is, if you don't have a backbone, if you don't have my back, at least have a backbone, which I like. Is that about someone specific or just in general?
I mean, we can use context clues.
Okay. The men have always been a big part of the drama in New Jersey. That's at its core. It's at its best. Why do you think with this particular group of men that it seems as though there's been, a lot of drama coming on their side too?
Well, in my specific instance, my husband, in my opinion, didn't really have a choice. We walked into Jen Fessler's party and that was it. Like, that wasn't, I didn't say anything except that Louis wasn't a gentleman. And I didn't even say those words. I just alluded to it, So, I mean, it's very specific to our franchise, and I feel like it wouldn't work on any other show. But I just think we all enjoy being around each other. The guys really kumbaya, and like everyone has a good time together. But there's also this, I want to say, ulterior motive of like copy and paste behavior of like, let's go after Joe, let's go after Evan, let's go after John. There's a pattern here, and this is a very toxic behavior.
That's interesting. And it is the only franchise where it works. I feel like in other franchises, it's like they're trying to be on the show, but with New Jersey, it feels organic.
Well, and listen, like everyone can sit here and be like, oh, John's the eighth housewife, whatever. Say what you want, but if you put the shoe on the other foot, what would you do different? You're going to defend yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you because on, I think, Tamra and Teddy on their podcast, they mentioned something like, oh, just give him a tagline at this point or whatever. What would your response be to that? Is it possible to get too involved, or when someone's saying something about you, like, obviously it's your right to defend yourself?
I think that this whole story, like this whole storyline, I guess you want to call it, was pre-contrived from the other side. Like, they knew what it was going to be. It's all over social media. Like, if you have two eyes, you know what I mean? So I think that goes without saying. As far as like John having a tagline, like, what do you want the guy to do? Like, they couldn't find anything on me, so they went after him. Literally. Give him a tagline.
What would his tagline be? What would John's tagline be?
Well, because our business, so I would say, there's only one king of New Jersey, and his name's John Fuda.
Ooh, I love it. Ooh, that's good. Has the show affected your marriage at all? Good, bad, anything we see on, historically, Housewives, sometimes, things take a turn. Other people have said that it's brought them closer together because they have to talk about things. Maybe they weren't. Other people are like, we are who we are. It doesn't matter. Where do you guys fall?
John and I are in a really great place. We have always prioritized our marriage and our family. That is our number one across the board, regardless of whatever it is that's going on. And I think that this season really brought us closer together. I think we became an even stronger unit because of it. And I'm just really proud of him, and I'm proud of myself and what we've been able to accomplish as a couple. And, we're pretty young.
Yeah.
We're solid.
You are. Where are you at health-wise? I thought it was so interesting in this episode to hear you talk about your arthritis a little bit, and how like it was like painful to like pick up your daughters and stuff. Like, how are you?
I'm in a lot of pain today, I'm not going to lie, because this weather is absolutely killing me. But yeah, I was diagnosed when I was 4, and it's been something that I have been faced with my entire life. I had my hips replaced when I was 18, both of them. And it's been a really long road, and I really struggled during this season. And I don't know that they were even able to like get a lot of it. It was so bad. I was barely able to get my daughter out of her crib in the morning. Like, it was horrible. I couldn't even get on the floor and play with my kids. My knees, my elbows, like, it was just a disaster. Wound up finding a medication that worked for me, thank God, but I still am not 100%. So I'm just taking it day by day and managing it the best as I can. But like, we all have our stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that people are so quick to judge a book by its cover. And there's a lot more to me than just being a mom and a housewife from Franklin Lakes. I have a lot of layers. There's a lot of depth to me. And this is definitely one of those things that like has had me mature at a very young age. I've been through a lot.
Yeah, I think that's actually interesting because you are one of the younger housewives they've ever cast, not only in Jersey but in general. And what do you attribute that to? Like, why do you think you were ready for it before maybe some other people would be?
I had to grow up fast. I was homeschooled on and off through high school because I was missing so much school because of my disease. And I just think the things that you have to go through as like a child with chronic illness, it forces you. Like, I spent a ton of time in the hospital and, you know, at doctor's offices.
Yeah.
And I missed a lot. I made up for it, don't get me wrong. But I definitely missed a lot. And you have to mature. And I've also been in therapy forever, so that helps.
That helps. Who were you closest to at the start of the season in the cast, and does that change?
Well, yeah, I would say, I mean, I threw Jen Fessler a surprise party, so that definitely changes. I was closest with her tenfold. I mean, 14 times a day we were on the phone.
Wow. And who would you say you're the closest to now?
Margaret and Melissa, for sure.
Do you see you and Jen getting back on a good page?
I can definitely, I don't wish her ill will. I'm just really disappointed, slightly angry, a little bit more than slightly. And I think that we could get to a good place, but things will never be the same. And I think that's really what bothers me, is that I just can't ever allow that in my life again to that level.
There's obviously been a lot as we've broken down in the first 2 episodes, but what is something you are excited to relive or have viewers see for the coming season? Because there's still a lot left, obviously, and we've kind of, you know, we jumped right in with you guys in the hot seat, but what's the fun stuff coming?
You know what I'm actually really excited for that I just remembered is Joe's party. Joe's birthday party is really fun, but I'm also excited for viewers to see like some of my personal stuff. Like I go through with my arthritis stuff, and then my daughter's journey with her like lip and tongue tie and her speech development, all of that. So I'm excited just for viewers to see what's going on in our life and you know, how we manage that and work around those challenges.
Is there anything that you have like a pit in your stomach that you know is coming, or did it all already start in the first 2 and you were like, we got it?
Honestly, you have to remember, like, I've already lived this.
Yeah.
I've processed. I've talked about it in therapy. Like,
You're too healthy, Rachel.
Seriously. I have really been so at peace with everything that I've said and done, and I don't have a pit in my stomach at all. I'm kind of just like, how many more weeks? Like,
yeah.
We're on episode 2.
We're only on episode 2. But I mean, speaking of, people always talking about like the future of these shows and like where the franchise goes. Even before you see one scene, I feel like the fans are constantly like theorizing. And there's been so much talk, obviously, about Teresa and Melissa. And this was a season that you guys were able to film where they just kind of like acknowledged each other's existence, maybe a little bit, but not really. And that doesn't seem sustainable. What do you think as far as someone who actually gets to like be there?
So we made it work. I just think that the base of all these shows, like at the core and the heart of it, is a friend group. And when you remove that, what do you actually have here? You have 7 strangers, well, not really strangers, but like enemies, half and half, that don't even like really want to be around each other. So in my mind, it doesn't seem sustainable long term, because how do we... Like, this one won't film with that one, and this won't be in the same room with that one, and this one hates that. Like, it's too crazy.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be some changes made. And I know that, you know, for New Jersey, it's not often that they bring new people on. So Danielle and I were a big deal.
Yeah.
And Jen Fessler were a big deal. So I think that it's needed. Let's breathe new life. I just don't know.
Yeah. I can't.
I'd
imagine you'd rather film with Melissa than Teresa.
Sure, but like, listen, I just think that the cuts don't need to be so deep. Like, let's not like take stabs that don't heal.
Right.
So, because we can't move past these things. Like, we can't move past that, like, Louis calls Margaret's son. Like, do you know, like, there's things that are just too far.
Yeah.
Like, say that you don't like my hair.
Yeah.
Talk crap about my outfit.
Right.
Like, even though I look fabulous.
Right.
Like, say something that, like, we can come back from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like Jen Aiden struggles with that line a little bit.
Jen Aiden has a lot of struggles. That is the least of her worries right now.
What does that mean?
Have you not seen social media?
I have. What do you make of all of that with, like, the allegations of people planting things in this or that? And I know you've said you've seen it, but, like, is it just inevitable in 2024 in a reality show, or is it, you know, something that maybe they're taking on?
I think it's really disheartening, and I think that it's how do I say this? To engage and manipulate fans to push a narrative for you so meaningfully. How do you sleep at night? I don't understand what I did to be on the receiving ends of that, especially from Jen Aiden. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So it is in black and white. It's there. The proof. There's proof left, right, and center. So I just, it's beneath me, honestly.
Yeah.
It's...
When stuff like that's coming out and these, social media is going crazy, are you and Margaret and Melissa, are you guys like texting? You're like, you're sending each other links? Are you talking about it? Or are you just like trying to ignore it? Like, what do you do when like
I know nothing. Ignorance is bliss.
Save it for the reunion.
I'm being dead serious. Do not pay attention. Anyone that is like really, really close to me knows I don't read it. I don't pay attention to it. I post what I need to post and I carry on. And that's why I'm a happy person.
Yeah.
We'd all be happier if we would pay less attention to what went on social media.
Yeah. Last question based on the show before we play your game. In the trailer, there's also a lot of talk about Teresa and Louis' finances, and Margaret maybe makes a comment at obviously this. What can you tease to me about how it's going to play out on the show and what you think about maybe Louis' spending of Teresa's money allegedly?
I could not know less. Could not know less. I have my own finances that I need to get in order. Like, I don't need to worry about theirs. I know nothing. I'm not going to pretend like I do. I don't know what they talk about. And quite frankly, I don't really care.